by. Action!
Venice is a character in the story. It's an important character.
It's unique to spend all that much time in a city that is a living, breathing monument to the past.
It was like shooting in a museum for 4 months.
Shooting in a place where the actual people live, kind of your backdrop for getting into character.
And it challenged us at times.
With the coach coming to a stop.
Lasse said from the get-go, I want to do this in Venice. And I looked at Lasse and I said, I don't think it's advisable. He shook his head, and of course I said, but if that's where we're going, that's where we're going.
Let's go, guys.
We chose to have a very wide scope for the movie. We considered for a moment shooting some of the picture outside of Venice. We thought about Rome, we thought about Prague, and ultimately decided to shoot the entire movie in Venice because it's so magical and there's no place like it, and we felt that we couldn't duplicate it anywhere.
Okay, get ready for picture. Ready, ready.
I heard that last time they shot a movie entirely in Venice was 35 years ago.
The moment we heard that it was going to be shot entirely in Venice, that made it very exciting because we could actually write scenes that fit certain kind of locations.
We would have the coach here.
Sometimes Lasse would come in and say, I found a very pretty room, can we put it there? And it's like, yeah, sure, we can put it there.
We're very proud to be able to show the world those wonderful interiors of Venice where I think no one has shot before. We got to use St. Mark's Square and the Doge's Palace.
We're standing, pretend Mark is standing.
I think a lot of these locations are featured for the first time in a film.
It's really hard to say, what was the most magnificent spot we shot in. Everywhere you look is beautiful.
The bad news? You had to get there by boat. Every little tiny thing had to be thought about 6 ways to hell and back.
Because everything takes longer in Venice with the boats.
There were times because of the tide when they had to stop and walk the equipment to wherever we shot.
It's extraordinary and difficult and wonderful and exciting, and I think very bold to shoot an entire film here.
Action! Aha!
The Venetians we worked with took really good care of their city. They were very protective. There were a lot of restrictions when we shot the interiors.
We scouted and we said, wow, look at this room, it's fantastic. Now how do we shoot in it and barely touch it?
Okay, just boom down then.
Oliver Stapleton would say, I think we want a light to come through that window. Well, on the other side of that window is a canal.
But I could tell that he was at times struggling with how to bring in daylight through the windows of buildings at narrow canals.
And you can't always close up a canal. So it presented very practical problems that we couldn't solve the same way we would solve ordinarily.
Here we go.
The most challenging sequence was probably the scene where we see Casanova and Francesca at the gallows. We didn't have those 4,000 or 5,000 extras that you see there. It was only like 1,000, and we then shot them and moved them around. So you lock off the shot and you move your crowd of 1,000 people around, and then the computer puts it all together. It was like 4 or 5 days of shooting, a very tight schedule.
We were shooting 12, 13, 14-hour days.
Add to that, we had Acqua Alta, which for those who do not know, is the water coming up everywhere you want to walk.
By about 10 o'clock in the morning, the water would start to seep and bubble out of the ground. And we'd have to shuffle over this way a few extra feet. We'd shoot a little bit over here until the water keeps creeping our way.
Casanova has arrived!
There was only one time that the people of Venice were not happy with us, and that's when we brought horses into the Piazza San Marco. They wanted them gone. I couldn't figure it out. And one day I was shopping, and the man said to me, you know, Venetians are not comfortable with anything that comes from the land.
Casanova. Tell me I'm the only one.
Of course. I always do.
My favorite character was definitely Casanova. How fun is it for a woman to rate the world's greatest lover?
When we first started to look around for a Casanova, we imagined a seducer of the intellect and of the artistic bent in people, as well as a master of the fine physical arts of lovemaking. Sounds like Heath Ledger to me.
So I can kind of be lurking there.
Yes.
Can I not? I mean, for me, doing Casanova is like going on vacation, acting-wise. There wasn't as much of a burden of telling an incredibly accurate depiction or portrayal of this person. I didn't have to take myself, nor the story, nor the character too seriously. I could just go out and have fun.
Heath Ledger has obviously the physical attributes to portray Casanova. He's also a very smart actor, and he's a guy that contributes on so many levels.
I'm fairly physical. I like to jump off things. That's the bottom line.
Heath does all his own stunts. He wouldn't allow a stuntman to get involved.
So I did it all myself, and it's not to kind of gloat and say, yeah, he does his own stunts, and, you know, it's just, you know, I enjoy that. I enjoy throwing myself around. And I get injured, but it's kind of, I like that too. I enjoy that. It's like a pleasurable pain.
Your attention, please, gentlemen. First blood ends the duel.
We had a sword master come on board and teach us a few tricks, and that was a lot of fun. It was Sienna and Charlie and Natalie and I, we all just kind of got together for a couple of weeks prior to shooting and just, you know, whacked each other around the head for a bit. It was good. I love a bit of sword play.
Well, I really enjoyed the sword fighting, just because, as my friends tell me, there's probably a bit of a violent streak in me. I do like wielding a sword.
That was also part of what was exciting and appealing about the story. It wasn't taking itself seriously because I was like wielding swords and jumping off roofs. All in a powder wig.
Heath and I have had a great time working together. He's not only a fantastic actor, but is absolutely fun to be with on set.
All right, I'm alone on that one.
Casanova and Francesca's relationship is kind of complex. He epitomizes absolutely everything that she hates about men.
Francesca had to be a woman that was different from all the women in Venice. And I really decided she just had to buck all of the convention of the time.
I was on my way to see Sienna. Where is she? We read like 10, 15 different actresses for that part, and Sienna just stood out as the one. She has the elegance and the wit and the looks and the strength.
They had to find a way to be romantic and sexy, but kind of comedic and broad.
Can never work on chemistry. If there's no spark, I can do nothing to help.
My true love is my true life.
My true life is my true love.
My true life is my true love. I'm sorry.
Who wrote this?
Yeah, who wrote this nonsense?
Not me. I think they took this on by first becoming really great friends and letting their talent show them the path. It was great chemistry on the set.
Cut. Her taking off the wig after lunch, right? Are we finding something for him to stand on?
I think what was great was working with Lasse. He was very clear about what his vision of the movie was, and to watch him work and get what he wanted from the actors or from the camera was really, for me, a great pleasure.
For me, it's always about involving actors and making them understand that they're genuinely needed on all levels. Yes, you're figuring it all out. That's great. And that's how I work. We did a lot of improvising, and especially with Heath Ledger, I think he's a really good filmmaker himself, and he's got good ideas. I pick any brain I can get, you know, any good idea I'll steal. setting on Venice didn't hurt. It was a true inspiration to us all to have that backdrop.
All right. 116 Jackson, take one. A mark.
B mark.
This is the biggest production I've ever been involved with. It doesn't come cheap to recreate Venice of that time.
We had a great crew, primarily an Italian crew. They did a great job. We had a wonderful production designer who's worked on a number of Lasse's pictures.
Our production designer, David Grootman, is brilliant.
This is the cover for our hot air balloon that Casanova puts together.
It was a challenge for David to recreate Venice the way it looked in 1753.
There are a number of sequences that are totally created in the computer.
And it's a lot of digital work to recreate the boats. Some of them are real, some of them are digital. So it's a combination of techniques.
You can't fly a helicopter over Venice. It's against the law, and for any number of reasons, we weren't able to shoot our balloon sequence with a helicopter, so we really had to recreate all of that with green screen.
And they had Sienna and I in a fake balloon basket, and there was no balloon attached to it. I don't know, we're just playing out scenes while we're spinning around. And Lasse was very good at explaining to us, you know, there's fireworks over here, and there's a whole crowd of people down here, and listen to the bells over here. And he just gave us little points, and they were just dots on the walls.
I had to spend 2 of those days in that balloon, imagining everything else, imagining being way up there in the warm night breeze of Venice 1753.
Here we are.
Cut.
For a comedy, it's a big, big picture with a big backdrop. There was a lot of logistical issues that were involved. There are a lot of horses. There are a lot of sword fights. I was sort of lamenting about how difficult it was, and all of a sudden I looked out the window and the sun was going down, and I heard a gondolier singing a song as he was sort of going past my office window on the Grand Canal, and I thought to myself, this isn't so terrible.
We had the best of times in Venice, and I think it might be reflected on that screen.
It was an absolute dream.